Welcome to the Cyber Tech Podcast, inside the minds of everyday IT and cyber pros. Your host, Mike Fierros, will dive deep into the world of IT and cybersecurity, bringing you the stories and insights of professionals who are making waves in the field. From how they got started, to their most exciting projects, and their advice for aspiring tech enthusiasts, we cover it all. So, whether you're an industry veteran or just getting started, join us as we explore the fascinating minds behind the technology that shapes our world. Let's get started.
Mike again, Cyber Tech Podcast, inside the minds of everyday IT and cyber pros. And I appreciate the encouragement as always on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. Thank you very much for the guest suggestions too. Also, just to let you guys know, the Cyber Tech Podcast episodes are being uploaded as we speak on the AspireByte YouTube channel. That way you guys can have another avenue on what to watch, listen to these episodes and whatnot, because I know you guys were curious on where they're going to listen to it. So pretty soon here, they'll fully be on there as well. This is going to be episode number 15, and this episode, this gentleman right here, if you guys haven't listened to it, if you listen to episode 8 with Ronald Wong and episode 12 with Daniel Lowry, this gentleman also is a colleague of theirs. This gentleman right here is the one and only Wes Bryan, technical instructor and IT trainer. How's it going, Wes?
Oh, it's going great, man. Thank you for having me here, Michael. Pleasure.
Just like I mentioned before, the podcast recording, like I grew up with you, with Daniel, with Ronnie at ITProTV, and man, I learned so much from you guys without you guys knowing it. And of course, thousands of techs across the country and across the world have too. And I really wanted to get on here, kind of bring a full circle, particularly you guys. You three, at least for me personally, pretty sure other folks as well. You three were the guys that taught me a lot. Beginning of my IT career journey, I really wanted to get on to kind of bring full circle to this and whatnot.
Oh, well, I thank you. I appreciate having me here, and it's always great to be a part of the community too, because the community, let's face it, the community's done a lot for me in my career. So that's one of the things I try to always do is give back a little bit too.
Wes, for those that may or may not know who you are really, kind of explain your background and how you got into IT.
Sure. So again, Wes Bryan here. I'm a technical instructor, and I've been a technical instructor now for almost 15 years. I say almost 15 years. It was towards the end of 2009 when I started, and I've been an instructor in different modalities. I was a mentored instructor for a while, where people that were taking all different types of certifications, anywhere from CompTIA certifications and Microsoft certifications, would come in and ask me to help them get certified and develop plans of attack for things like practice exams. I've done tilt classes as well, or traditional instructor-led ILT training. I've done online classes too. I had the pleasure of working with the founder and co-founder of ITProTV in the early days, prior to ITProTV even existing, when they were kind of putting together and revolutionizing and being some of the first of a company to provide Adobe Connect for online training. When it was still just a brand new product, we kind of got on board. So I got to be some of the first to start with that type of training, doing online training as well. And then we switched over when Tim Broom and Don Pizzette founded ITProTV. I switched from that side of the classroom and went into studios and started doing studio-based recording. So a variety of modalities, as well as things like Vimeo and YouTube content creation as well.
The years before internet existed, like I was a kid in the 80s and early 90s and whatnot, but like to learn the stuff that we're learning now about IT and cybersecurity, you had to go to the library. Maybe there's a seminar, like a free-ish kind of seminar, or I remember looking at magazines where you look up and see electronic training, maybe some computer training. They'll send you a kit or books. You sign up for it, get their service and whatnot. But man, the medium of the internet, also YouTube and different platforms that we can learn. Like I was telling Ronnie back in episode 8 and Daniel back in episode 12 that median, man, it's helped me and it's helped other techs out there and kind of fuel the fire, if you will, for this IT training where you can literally be anywhere in the world as long as you have an internet connection and pop open a video or your content on YouTube, Wes, and let there you go, start learning and whatnot. I think that's a medium that's beneficial for everybody.
Yeah, it really is. It's a game changer. And content's different and I don't mean as in the type of content, but I think the mindset behind the content's different than when I first started out at ITProTV, because it's becoming so prevalent, so common. It's nice to see that people do have those avenues out there, that they can go to and they can help their studies. Because let's face it, classroom training, then it has its place inside of the
Mm,
industry. Online training has its place in the industry. Content creation, instructional content, and stuff. All of that has its place. But it's nice, especially for communities that maybe don't have the thousands of dollars to
mm,
pay for training. Again, like I said, all has its place, and it's definitely something that's helped me, become very successful as well too. But one of the things that I think that's great about it is the fact that you don't have to spend, exorbitant amounts of money in order to learn, as long as you have the desire to learn and the desire to, find that information. Dan, you talk about Dan. Dan's a good friend of mine, very, very
mm.
smart instructor. He said something years ago, and it's very, very true. If you can get comfortable with being uncomfortable, you'll be successful. Now, I'm
Mm,
paraphrasing how
okay.
he's saying it. He says it much more eloquently than I do. But yeah, and that's I love that statement. That, and I've
Mm.
always said that if you have that desire and that tenacity to learn, then you definitely can.
That's a gem you dropped right there, Wes, for sure. I like that. When you got into so before you got into IT as an IT trainer, technical trainer, how did you get started in IT? Was that back in high school, or is that something that kind of like intrigued your curiosity at an early age? How did that come to be about?
No, I got into IT pretty much as a second chance to do good with my career. When it comes to high school, I had better things to be doing than
I
being
hear
at
you.
high school. And joking aside, I dropped out at an early age and started helping around, home, live with a single mom and stuff. So I didn't go the high school route. But years later, again in the early 2000s, I decided that, hey, I would like to go back and I'd like to, see if there's, some route to go for training. So I took technical training, and
Huh.
that kind of became a thing of the past, because when it comes to technical training, I got a start by working at the same technical school that I started my training at.
Nice.
There, a job opened up, and they seen that I was really, really dedicated to my studies, and I was spending a lot of time in the mentored learning room. This prior to me ever becoming an instructor. I was spending a lot of time in the mentored learning room, and they asked when a job position came up for facilities manager. They knew that I had done commercial painting and worked in facilities.
Mm,
Used to do things like post construction cleanup. So that got my foot in the door. And one of the things I think that also helped too is, as students, one of the things that the training center allowed us to do, is they did a big deployment of computers. I mean, it wasn't a massive amount, let's say 100 computers, but
mm,
for a small business, that wasn't bad. And they did something really, really neat, and I always like it. And this is all going back to Tim Broom, who was the founder of IT Pro TV.
mm,
He said, "Hey, well, let us have our students get some hands on. We'll let them help us deploy some of these computers in the mentored learning classroom and stuff." So of course everybody was so excited to jump in. All of us students were like, "Yes, this is awesome!" 100 computers come in from who had Dell. We were
nice.
using Dell. Well, everybody jumped in, and it became really clustered. And there was a lot of people in there. Everybody's excited. So I said, "Well, I don't think I'm going to really be doing much help here." So I started taking boxes out to the warehouse and breaking them down
Mm,
and sweeping up the cardboard. And the owner again, Tim, came out and he said, "Well, why aren't you doing all the fun stuff?" I said, "Well, that's not really where I'm needed right now. We've got enough people here, but you don't have enough people breaking down boxes. They're just kind of collecting here."
mm,
And that's something I think that kind of stood out, is that, that I was willing to do, maybe what wasn't the most glamorous thing. So I think it kind of, maybe, I'm speaking for him. He could speak for himself. Maybe is one of the reasons, that he, when that facilities manager role came up, he said, "Well, hey, why don't you come on? You can help us around the building, and you can continue to take courses." And man, that was a very,
mm,
very good thing for me, because I got the ability to work with some of the technologies that I was learning about as well too. But that's kind of the start of where I got into IT. But really, really early on, as I was a facilities manager and working not part time, but I was split roles between that and mentor learning instructor. One of the senior training instructor came in and asked. He said, "Hey, we've double booked an A+ class. We don't want to cancel it. Would you like to, maybe try your hand at teaching? You're already in the mentor learning classroom enough, helping people." So that's where I start. I chose that and chose to go ahead and do that online training, and that's really the rest is history. That's where it all started. That's where I started training, and a year later, again working in the New Horizons network, I took the #1 technical instructor in the world network there, and got to walk the stage out
Nice.
in Las
That's
Vegas. So
awesome.
yeah, it was a really really good start, but again, it all goes back to that dedication. Again, you might be the person sweeping up the boxes, but God, if that gets
Mm.
your foot in the door and you can be the fly on the wall that gets to
Yeah.
watch like some of the senior techs do massive deployments, or oh, a cluster just went offline. How do we get in there and bring that thing back online? Not that that was an everyday thing, or it'd be a very short job role,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you start to see stuff like that, and it was a really good opportunity. But that's how I got my transition into IT. But then I also went a step farther and went into the training side of things.
That's awesome. It's so encouraging to hear that, Wes. Like I mentioned Durrani in episode 8, I transitioned from law enforcement to IT, and I started off, like everybody else at the bottom as a help desk operator. It was more hands on, but I totally agree with you. Like doing the dirty work from the beginning, and like you mentioned about being a fly on the wall, listening to other senior technicians, other IT directors and personnel and whatnot, like that in of itself just kind of lays that foundation for you. Like, and I was the same way, and I think that's a good start off, because so many times, like on YouTube and like Instagram and Facebook and all the other social media outlets out there, you see these big huge ads, become an IT professional, become a cybersecurity professional, make, I'm exaggerating, like $5 million a year and whatnot, but I'm exaggerating, but people don't realize you really have to put the work in. Like you have to take the time to study, like the material you guys put out, do the grind, learn from the beginning, get a good foundation, be around people and whatnot. And that's such a good another good example, Wes, of you doing that. And it's just another confirmation that you definitely have to be you have to do the grind. You have to do that stuff in order to, excel, grow as a professional, and grow, personally too. I think that's really cool.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah, and just stay in projects. If you don't have
For
a
sure.
project right now, one of the things too that you can gain experience. Because it's always a catch-22. It's that
Mm.
Achilles heel. You need experience. Well, how do I get the experience if you're not going to hire me? Well, we're not going to hire you until you have your experience. Well, if you hire me, I'll get the experience. Sorry, we can't. You
Yeah.
got that that
Yeah.
it's almost like the coin has heads on both sides. You can't win.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So one of the things that you can do though is just, get your hands in the technology. One of the things that I know when you started getting into this, as a help desk, you remember when you had to set up rows of physical PCs if you wanted to create
Oh
your
yeah.
own kind of network, and be able to. And I remember bringing home. Actually, I got a friend gave me this Intel. I can't remember what the processor was. I think it might even have been a Xeon processor. But anyways, I turned it
Nice.
into an Active Directory domain controller, and then
Nice.
brought in 4 PCs and joined them to the domain to be able to work with the technology. Well, we got virtualization platforms today. I mean, if you don't have it built into like Windows, if you don't have Pro editions, you don't have client side Hyper-V, perfectly fine. Go get VirtualBox, VMware
Mm.
Workstation. If you're in the Mac realm, get Parallels if you want to virtualize Windows. So there's a lot of options out
Mm.
there, and you can build these environments. I joke around all the time and say I can build a network and break a network with the best of them, and I absolutely can. But that's the trial and error. That's the ability to say, okay, all right, I can see in my mind what I need to build. Because let's face it, when I'm
Mm.
building labs for demonstrations, like I just finished a course for a company, just a week ago or so. And one of the things that I have to do as an instructor is, if they say Active Directory, I don't want to just talk about it. Sometimes, unfortunately, I can't get around it. We have to talk about concepts, but
Yeah.
I like to show it as well too. Well, that takes, you know how it is. You got to build up the environment. You got to create the virtual machines. You got to I do multi-home network adapters so that I can connect them to the internet and update them, and then shut down those network adapters and connect them to the Active Directory domain. So, not to go on about all of this, but all of the intricacies. But the point is, I'm setting up a lab environment, and that lab environment is no different than what the physical environment. It might not have the same complexities, but it certainly could, and that's what I encourage. People out there that are studying, like one of the things I have on my YouTube channel, is it's called just shut up and just show me. Because, we don't have to go through, let's put the content aside and let's just kind of dive into the technologies. And there's really even no talking, but I go through the process of showing somebody how to build a virtual environment. Now, one of the
Nice.
things I will be incorporating in coming in is a full more, because now that I got my studio up and running, is showing people how to do that. But to me, that is so important because it gives you a sandbox to work in. It gives you the ability to use the technologies that we talk and we train about, right? You can go out to a place like Microsoft's Download Center, and you can download a fully functional trial copy of Windows Server 22 and Windows 11 Enterprise, which has every feature that the Windows client operating system offers. And you have the ability to, for free, I mean, you don't use them in production environments, but there's nothing wrong with that if we're just testing them. You can build your own lab environment and practice the technologies that we talk about.
Yeah, it's almost like, you're right. Like instead of using, a lot of this technology could be thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, but being up a VM box, VMware, putting these virtual machines to work, you can learn a lot. You can learn a lot. And that's actually one of the things I learned from you guys on IT Pro TV is to like, I remember the days I was a help desk operator and I'm looking at your guys' videos. I've always been a Mac guy because my dad was a Mac
Yeah,
guy.
sure.
And so when you mentioned about the virtual machines, and I saw your guys, I was watching yours, Daniel's cloud series, and whatnot,
Mhm.
and exactly what I did. I spin that up while watching you guys. I'm listening to you guys. I'm also installing virtual machine on my Mac and messing around with stuff. I learned a lot, and I'm still learning a lot. With the technology we have, it's such a privilege to have this technology and become a really good IT professional, cybersecurity professional, and with the resources out there, there's no excuses, basically.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. There's space and opportunity. Which one are you grabbing, space or
True.
opportunity?
That's true.
Are you
Yeah, so true.
distancing yourself or are you getting closer to the solution?
True. That's true. What kind of challenges did you face, Wes, as you're coming up as an IT professional, getting into technical training, doing these videos online? What kind of challenges did you go through like that you could share?
Time management's probably one of my biggest things. I'm not really good at time management. I'll be the first one to say it. I got to write things down so I don't forget it. And what I mean is thinking more about myself when it comes to my time, because it was easy that I could work till 1, 2 in the morning on
Yeah.
projects, and it's just that's the way if stuff needs to. I've always said I'm the person that you bring stuff when you need no complaints and you just need it done. Well, the problem is that's good, but you have to learn how to say no. That was a big challenge of mine, is being able to tell, again, more on the time management aspect, being able to say, no, I've got enough on my plate. Another thing that I've faced, and you can ask some of the other instructors or educators as well. The big thing with me too is imposter syndrome. I know a lot of people face that today too, and that's the ability to, you've probably heard the saying many times, right? Courage isn't the absence of fear, but the ability to jump in spite of fear. So that's one of the things that is always challenging because let's face it, I've talked with and got to have been introduced in this journey of mine in IT to people that are just so brilliant and so intelligent and very, very, very talented people. So that can seem like a daunting task to me, and I just kind of being honest here. That's one of the things that is challenging, is to realize that, hey, you do have the skills, and keep going and keep pushing forward, and you will be successful. So I think those are over the last couple of years. Those have been the challenges. Is just good time management, making sure that I'm taking advantage of my time with my family as well too, and avoiding things like burnout. because it can happen.
Mm.
Especially if you've got a really good high work ethic, and you know that you've got stuff that needs to be done, the ability to leave it on the desk because it'll be there tomorrow.
That is challenging. I'm kind of the same way, Wes, too, where I'm that guy like, hey, if you want me to get into trenches, I'll get in trenches with you. If you need help with Active Directory, I'll help you with stuff. My current role is kind of like a technology standards GRC type role.
Sure.
But if help desk needs help, I'll run to those trenches. If projects needs help with something, I run to those trenches. Or, whoever needs help, I'll run over there. And I have the same thing where it's like time management. And that's such a number one thing, I think, with and all professionals, but specifically for an IT professional is, the stuff that we're doing what we love. And sometimes what we love pours over to our personal. I had a talk with high school students last week as the time of this recording. I was telling them the same thing where it's like, I'm most of the time in my home office. I work from home, doing this media stuff on the side. Sometimes I have to remind myself that, hey, I need to spend time with my family, or, I have to, there's chores I need to do. I need to fix the backyard or do something. That's something that I can step away from and kind of relax a little bit. Maybe something that's not technical a little bit. At least
Sure.
try to do it a little bit. I think it's a challenge for every IT professional, especially because we're loving what we're doing. But it is a challenge, at least for me personally as well, to kind of pull back a little bit and say, hey, go out of town for a little bit, do this and that, and it's good. It's a good kind of a refresher to kind of put your mind at ease and get away a little bit to recharge.
Most definitely. Because there's always more information, right? We
For
live in an
sure. Oh yeah,
information age. There's
for
always more
sure,
information. There's always more work.
for sure.
So yeah, those are a couple of the things that kind of later in my career have been challenging. Earlier in my career is more just family related. As you're
Mhm.
working and doing travels and stuff like that. But outside of that, I don't really. I haven't. I've been blessed. I've had.
Yeah.
You work hard, play hard.
Wes, what kind of tips would you give somebody, whether they're in high school, college, or transitioning to IT? Do you have any certification tips for them? For anybody that's maybe curious and maybe they want to get into A plus or Network plus or the other certification that's
Sure.
out there?
Well, I would, I encourage people because there's this massive media buzz around cybersecurity right now.
Mhm,
Everything's cybersecurity this. You look all over LinkedIn,
mhm.
anything in IT, it's all
Yeah.
cybersecurity. Well, that trend's going to flatten out. I don't
Mhm,
know when, but like all trends, it's going to flatten out. Doesn't mean that we won't need cybersecurity. That's not what I mean. But I believe it's one of those things that we need to keep in mind. That yeah, we definitely want to be in cybersecurity, but just like any other field, you have to learn the ABCs. You have to learn
mm.
the alphabet before you can learn how to write. And use the
Yeah.
language. Well, it's the same thing in IT. We have to keep in mind that if you don't have some of those basic computing skills, um, we need to make sure that we keep those in there. We keep those skills up to date, right? Another thing too
Mm,
is hang in there right now. Right now, just given the time of year, and I'm not getting into politics when I say this. We know it doesn't matter who's in office. Elections
true.
happen. The economy kind of stops or freezes to see whatever's going
Yeah.
on. So a lot of companies might be reluctant to hire right now. Keep on leveling up your skills. Network, and if you've
Mm,
networked, then network some more. That's very, very important right now. I think that's just as important, when it comes to your certifications as well. It's right up there. It's not only certifications, but also build environments where you can start working with the
mm,
technologies that you're talking about. Build something that you can give back to the community. If you
mm,
have a public repository or something where you can put information in there too. But the big thing I would say is that especially if you're looking to get into cybersecurity, because again, a lot of people are marketing and selling cybersecurity. So it's very flashy, a lot of marketing, got a lot of dollars behind that. It's got a lot of, it's in front of everybody. Remember that in cybersecurity fields, you don't start at the top right away.
true.
You have to understand the basics of IT. So
Mm,
definitely get some of your foundational skills in there as well. But I would hang in there if you're not seeing a lot of activity right now. It's I think it'll level out a little bit, and we'll start to see some positive growth.
For sure. No, that's some more good gems you dropped right there, Wes. Just leveling out your skill sets, and it's so true. Like, you can't defend what you don't know if you get into cybersecurity, and learning, the basics of an operating system, learning basics of, what does memory do to a computer, just basic stuff that's going to help you.
Sure.
In my head right now, I can remember going to IT, and I'm a Mac guy, and being thrown into a Windows environment where I'm like, let me try swim in the deep end of the pool, and that's exactly what my director did. And he wanted to see if I'm going to swim, drown, float. What are you going to do? And so
Sure.
from there, he's like, okay, you don't have any training. Let me get you ITProTV training. Also, you don't have any training, so you don't have bad habits on you. And I think networking with IT pros, cyber pros, and being around those guys, around those people, is going to help you not to make bad habits, as you will, as you're coming up in the IT career and whatnot. And I appreciate those people that, like you guys from ITProTV, Dan, that poured a lot in your videos, and there's definitely fruit from your guys' videos for sure. I mean, I'm still learning stuff from you guys' videos on there and whatnot.
Well, that's great. That's great.
For
And there's
sure.
more to come as well. Like I said, I'm
Oh,
going to
yeah.
be building up a library by the end of this year, maybe the beginning of next year.
Awesome. No, I'm looking forward to it too. And I'll also share it too on the AspireByte platform too and whatnot. And Wes, I have one more fun question for you. If you were given a keys to the studio, what kind of IT or cybersecurity would you film, and who would be your leading actor?
So so who would be the actor in it?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, wow, interesting. I like this. So I would definitely want to do some AI training, just because
Nice.
I think it's definitely important. But skills related AI, I think relatable AI, not the AI that's a buzzword and somewhere up in the ether, and we don't know exactly
Yeah.
what it is. And you caught me in any other time, I would have probably said a different actor, but I have been deep in the woods and binge watching The Blacklist, so I have to say James
Oh,
Spader.
nice.
He
Nice.
would
There we
be the
go.
lead man in this one, and I think it would be very
Nice.
interesting.
Oh, that definitely would. That's really cool. Wes, if someone wanted to get a hold of you or even check out your material you have on YouTube or anything like that, where can they find that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm going to be starting some surveys too, because I want to generate some community feedback on what's, get some feedback around the community on what they might be wanting. You can. I've got my YouTube channel as well. It's just Wes Bryan, the number one. You put at Gmail. That's how you can get a hold of me. Gmail.com. This is my email address. So yeah, I look forward to communicating, and anybody can reach out if you need any content created as well. You can always reach out to
Nice.
me on that too, because I can really deliver a finished package. It's something that I enjoy doing.
That's awesome. And I'll make sure I put all that information on show notes on Spotify and also on the YouTube channel, Wes. That way, if folks want to get a hold of you, they can reach you in those avenues
Oh,
right
that's
there.
great. I appreciate it.
For sure, you're welcome. I appreciate Wes. It's man, it's always a blast to have folks that worked on ITProTV, because man, I have such good memories on my early years getting to the IT career and this IT journey, and such I kind of get giddy a little bit when I see you guys, and it's such a full circle thing for me to actually talk to you guys, and I appreciate your guys' work ethic in your videos, because me and thousands of other techs that benefit from that and are still benefiting from that. I appreciate you on this podcast, Wes.
Well, I tell you, it has been I've been blessed. I've been blessed with meeting a lot of the people in the community, and I just think that it's a privilege to be part of somebody's journey like that, especially when sometimes it seems to span many years. So, to me, it's a privilege and honor, for the people that know me out there, seeing somebody at a conference, and I apologize, I don't know their name, but to me, it's very humbling, and I appreciate it as well.
Appreciate that, Wes. And you just listened to episode number 15, Wes Bryan, technical instructor, IT trainer. And thank you, Wes. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And this is Cyber Tech Podcast, inside the minds of everyday IT and cyber pros. See you guys.